Hi, I'm Dr. Raymond Adamcik of the Florida Anti-Aging Center. We're located in Satellite Beach, Florida. I recently attended the World Anti-Aging Conference. Now, this was different than prior conferences. Thank you very much, COVID, because I was not here at the conference like this. I didn't have to fly 5 hours or pay for airfare or for hotels. And I didn't get to see the conference like this. Now, there's a lot of people here in the front, but there's screens that you can't really see that well. And sometimes they change these screens very quickly and they don't give you copies of the slides. So you want to say like, oh, what was that? Can you go back? But they don't. So, but next to you could be maybe a world leader in sub-subject or another subject. So there's a possibility for fabulous interactions here and interactions like this. This is the world leader of anti-aging, Dr. Terry Hertow. This was last year. I was looking forward to meeting him again. I had many questions on growth hormone and my patients on growth hormone that I wanted to personally ask him, but I was unable to do that. And there was no large exhibit hall like this with thousands of exhibits with new ideas of exotic ways to treat various conditions. And I was not able to write any exotic things like this and experience things firsthand. So a lot of negatives along with COVID-19, its impact on the conference. However, what it did get me was this time very good slides. And a lot of times there's 2 tracks or 3 tracks in the afternoon, and I'm interested in all 3, but I can only go to one of those conferences. So in this case, there's slides for all of the conferences. So I study all of the conferences. And I also have the slides, which I didn't have before. Sometimes they go past or you miss them. So I was able to do a more thorough job in essence, because I don't just attend these things, I study them. They're my Bible for you. So anyway, so what about longevity? What we're striving for this, but is really long life the thing that we should be shooting for? Like currently, women live longer than men, but unfortunately, they also get more chronic diseases like degenerative arthritis, osteoporosis, and dementia. So then the quality of life is not that good. So really, are we looking for, there's different sciences too. There's the juventology. How do we stay young? Boy, I love that one. That's my absolute favorite. But then there's also health span. How long of a quality of life do you have before degenerating illnesses or death then occurs? So really what we want is a longer health span. Now, it's thought that with really excellent measures, like with longevity measures, currently we could probably extend life about 13 years. But if we are able to add all the interventions that we're able to in mice, or even some of them, we could probably extend life as much as 30 years. So are we the first to come up with this? Well, not really. For thousands of years, people have tried to study health and tried to come up with basic lifestyles that are going to promote longevity and good health. These are some of the traditions that have been down for thousands of years, homeopathy, naturopathy, herbs, Chinese medicine. And many of these disciplines share some things in common. They all recommend some type of dietary adherence, and generally some type of fasting or limited caloric intake, or concentration, high nutrient foods like vegetables. But also they combine that with some type of physical activity, the need for rest and for tranquility in life. And so these are common threads that we're not the first to discover. So if you were kind of able to move these traits to current ideas, then this is kind of what our current idea of healthy living would generally look like. Be some type of intermittent fasting or calorie restriction, maybe some dietary supplements, stress reduction, exercise, movement, reduce exposures, get social interactions, and work with people in your environment. So, a lot of these things are good health measures and difficult to do some of them. So let's kind of go further than that. What can actually do these days? And so one of the points of the whole thing is really inflammation and inflammage are really one of the key components of damage in our system. I've been pounding this on the table in my office, year after year now. But come to fact out that cholesterol is rarely mentioned at all in this whole spectrum of it. You'll see later on, cholesterol is not recommended as an important nutrient in this whole spectrum of thing. It's really inflammation that really is at the root of various illnesses. As far as inflammation goes, there's actually a new billing called CGRP. Now, this is not something I'm going to talk too much about. I noticed in a lot of inflammatory conditions or headache or pain conditions, this has become like a central mediator of that and is present all over the body. So I encourage you to maybe research this. If you're interested, you have some kind of inflammatory or painful condition, this might be kind of a central theme to it. But so, what about longevity? Now, I thought that I did longevity. And I thought, come to find out that that's not really exactly, it's only partially really what I do. What I really do is most people come to me, they're broken. They're suffering severe deficiencies of various hormonal and metabolic systems, and they feel the symptoms of it, fatigue and moodiness and sleep disturbance and health declining. So that mostly these people want to be fixed. They want to get a better quality of life. But their brain isn't working, their mood is not good, they're unable to follow a complicated program. They just want the easy button to kind of get their quality of life back. When it comes to living longer, until their quality of life is better, they're not really that worried about it at this point. They just want to feel better. Now, so a simple program is necessary. Now, there's another class of people that are already in pretty good shape. They're already health conscious, but they just really want to move it to the next level. They know that life can be better than this, and that their health could be better. And so for them, their brain is working, and they're more able to go a complicated program. But still, it's just many people don't really want to take a lot of supplements anyway. They just want to, do the easy button. And if you really want to shoot for longevity, if that's your real goal, it's not really an easy button. You have to take on a lot more work and responsibility to do this. So now, over and over again, fasting came up as a main topic when it comes to longevity. And I already introduced my patients to this 2 years ago. Many of my patients are already doing this. We are ahead of the ball game. Now, next was a very interesting talk. This fellow is a very a unique person. This person's goal is to be the longest living person alive, like 130 or greater. There's one big problem. He does not have the genes for it. So he is trying to tweak his biologic system to promote longevity, and he is a living scientific experiment. This is what this guy does. He eats foods like this, and there are a lot of carrots and there's a lot of broccoli sprouts and stuff like that in here. It looks like fruits, but he eats a pound of carrots a day and broccoli sprouts and Brussels sprouts and all this kind of stuff. He weighs it, he does a blood test, he measures the micronutrients. He's been doing this for 6 years and tweaking all of his micronutrients, living like a living laboratory. Amazing. He has a regimented exercise program and everything. So now, how is he about reducing the age process with this intensive process? So it turns out that actually you can measure your biologic age with very simple blood work. A CBC, which I've done for 30 years, a Chem 12, which I've done for 30 years, and a SED rate, HSCRP, which is only a newer test the last 5 years or so that I commonly order it. Anyway, between those three tests, you can predict somebody's actual biologic age, and you can change it. So, for example, a CBC, there's a white blood cell count, and you can see like there's an optimal count where it is if the level is above 7, like the mortality starts going up over there. But if the level's down over here, like around 3 or 4, there's a much more lower mortality. So there's kind of a range. This is kind of the optimal one, which is around 5 or so. Now, for me, if it was 6 or 7 or 8 or 9, it didn't really matter. But I guess it must be like maybe a marker of inflammation within the system. So if your white blood cell count is low, it indicates a lower inflammation in your system. So I'm going to show you later. There's other examples of this. So this is an RDW. This is like how wide the red blood cells are the same size or they vary in size a lot. And as you get older, they start to vary in size a lot. And you don't want that because as that goes up, well, then your mortality starts to go up with the changing in the size. If the size gets really variable, well, you start dying. It means your red blood cell production isn't working that effectively anymore. It's deteriorating. So it turns out this is The 12 parameters or so that he uses, and you can plug in your white blood cell count. Here's the and there's an optimal range over here, you see, and here's the normal. So normal might be 5 to 10, but optimal is like 3.5 to 6. And then it's like a liver test, alkaline phosphatase. Normal's up to 117, but if it goes over 48, it shows your liver's not doing like a youth person. Same thing like kidney function. If it goes over 1.1, it's not working like a healthy person. The sugar goes up, if the inflammation goes up. So these things, and this one is a nutrition factor. If your albumin isn't high, you show good nutrition, you're going to die. So you can just look at your own CBC and Chem12 and HSCRP, and you can see for yourself how you're doing from a biologic age standpoint. I don't have the formula, actually, how to put these all together, but you can look at the ranges on it. If anybody has the formula for it, I'd love to see it and plug it in. But anyway, you get the idea. So now, how do you actually change this stuff, right? And so, if your numbers aren't that good, well, it turns out that it comes back to this: that really the things that you would think most logical are going to change your health are the things that you would are heard the most are best for eating. Which are your vegetables, especially this guy eats a ton of carrots and greens and some fruits and some chicken, but he just lives like a machine, and most people aren't willing to put the effort in to do that. Right. So this is the thing. Are you willing to do that type of effort to really get longevity? For me, if I have to eat Brussels sprouts to live longer, I will live shorter. But every person is different. So now, what else besides diet and fasting? So Dari Herschel talked, and unfortunately, not that helpful. He talked about hormones affect immunity. Very hot subject right now. But the answer is, well, not a heck of a lot. If you add some thyroid, which I don't know about doing that, it could help a little bit. If you give hydrocortisone, like if someone's really sick, yes, but I don't know about giving it to someone that's just healthy and say, here, take hydrocortisone. And testosterone, it turns out that the level's really low. You could die from COVID, but doesn't say that you're going to live with testosterone either. But he did say that testosterone does help in terms of mortality. This is for men, that as the levels drop, then the mortality significantly drops. So we're on the right track with testosterone. Without testosterone, your mortality is going to increase. The same thing also applies for women. Unfortunately, I do not have a chart like this for women, but the chart is generally similar. With higher levels, there's higher survival, and with levels very low, like 0 to 30 or so, the survival is very short. So that it's not only the topic was not mostly hormones with this; it was mostly longevity, which is only part of that picture. So then estrogen was also mentioned. It really mentioned it's really not just a sex hormone. It really is a metabolic hormone. It's involved in many aspects of things and in muscles and liver and with fat metabolism and arteries. And it's a and bones is a really essential metabolic regulator. And without it, its deficiencies, can cause various serious illnesses, including obesity, diabetes, insulin resistance, fatty liver, higher risk of Alzheimer's and cardiovascular disease. So we're on the right track again with hormone replacement therapy, but it's not the entire picture. So what else is involved? Well, there's a thing called telomeres, and the DNA started at a certain length, and through time, these telomeres at the end start to get wear down and wear down. These telomeres kind of tell how many times can that cell divide. And at some point, it runs out of telomeres and it can no longer divide. And it becomes a senescent cell. So the war is to kind of prevent these telomeres from degenerating, prevent the cells from becoming senescent cells. So, well, how do you do that? Well, unfortunately, a lot of the things that we're already doing in my office, which is to recommend exercise and antioxidants, omega 3s, vitamin D3. Did they see my lecture? Don't smoke, don't be obese, reduce stress, reduce depression, reduce pessimism. So we're right on track for a lot of these things, but this is only the easy button when it comes to telomeres. There's always a next level and a next level, but this is a good start for people that don't want to go into the full court press for it. So what happens is when these telomeres deteriorate, we're trying to prevent that. With this part of the with this part of the equation over, you're trying to prevent that. but they become senescent, and these senescent cells can then accumulate and then can also progress to cancer or to general aging because of accumulation or pulmonary fibrosis. So what you really want to do is you want to move the equation in this way to kind of clear the senescent cells and then prevent things like tumors and help rejuvenation and regeneration of the body. So another graphic of this, where you got a cell that's able to divide, its telomeres are still working, then some types of stress, then make it a senescent cell, which then has ability to become cancer or to cause other metabolic issues, or ideally, or even aging. So we just want to get rid of these guys altogether. So what are the best mechanisms we can do this? What have I learned? What can I bring you now? And I will bring you is NAD. So it was introduced last year to NAD, and I didn't bite on it. I didn't do the research, but now I have it for you, and I am recommending NAD, and I will tell you why. NAD, it declines with age, and as it declines, our cells seem to age, and signs of chronic disease, including cardiovascular disease and degenerative disease and Alzheimer's disease, progress as its levels decline. So what happens if you give NAD? Well, everything gets better. The brain gets better in things like Alzheimer's disease and Parkinson's disease. Well, better brain function sounds good. Less tremors, immune system improves in HIV patients. Heart function improves in heart patients. Drug-related issues improve. Improvement in taste and eyesight. Now, tell me that you might have to risk a better eyesight and tasting better if you take this supplement. Really, I think I'll try it. So then improvement in your average blood sugar reading and your lipids, better sleep. Where do I get this? Reduction in psychiatric symptoms, depression, anxiety, panic, schizophrenia. Well, everybody needs that. Improvement in exercise and strength. Well, hell yes. Better sense of well-being, reducement in the metabolic syndrome. Why am I not taking this? So later on, I'll go into this. But it turns out it really is central to NAD, to many of the functions of our essential systems, the brain system, the liver, the vascular system, the heart, the reproductive system, the kidneys, the muscles, the fat tissue. Well, yes. So when you see over here, the NAD levels decline with time, and the ability to produce it also declines with time. So what else? So there were other brief mentions of studies of anti-aging type products. One was metformin, which is an AMPK activator. It's been shown to reduce inflammation and many of the signs of aging. I've been pounding a table on this one for years in my office. And then there's growth hormone and growth hormone stimulating factors. And then some research, suggesting it may help to, reverse the biologic clock. But then there was one speaker that kind of put it all together, this Dr. Shade, and he talked about the longevity wheel. Now, these are the essential factors that are involved in longevity. These are the key factors involved in longevity. I've been searching for this. So right up on the top here is AMPK and NRF2. AMPK is stimulated by metformin. We got a key wheel here. And NFRT is an anti-inflammatory, makes glutathione. So here we got, both of these covered with metformin. Serotonins, these are things like resveratrol that kind of helps the genes' general production. And then here's NAD, which we just talked about. It's central on the wheel. And then here's telomeres, which we talked about. And then these are senolytics. These are things that kind of help the body get rid of the dead cells. And this is the hormone pituitary axis that we also work on in my office. So this and this one are kind of like the key axes that we work on, but we find out we're actually doing better than that. So again, what are these important axes of longevity? This is the AMPK NRF2. And this one does with energy control, with chemoprotection, with metabolism, with autophagy, insulin sensitivity. These are critical functions here. And then these are the gene-related ones, like resveratrol that help with DNA repair and cell signaling and metabolism. And then this is the NAD that helps with energy metabolism, DNA repair, mitochondrial density. And here's the telomeres would help with healthy cell aging. And the cell health, the things that actually help with cell health and also help with the uh, prevention of cell death, and then the hormone axis. So now what can we actually do about these things? Now the NAD itself is a very powerful one because it influences a lot of these other ones. And actually, there's a lot of interaction between these ones anyway. So now these are the possible interventions at some of these main axes over here. So for AMPK, I use metformin, but note that also resveratrol, quercetin, uh, lipoic acid, here's DIM, vitamin D3 right here. So even if you don't take metformin, you're getting some action with vitamin D3 here. Now also these are the gene expressing agents. So here's NAD here again, and here's vitamin D3. And so now here's quercetin, which is again, you see this in two places here. Quercetin is an apple extract or red onion extract that is helpful for anti-inflammatory type properties. Now, NAD, you're just going to take it, either the riboside or the mononucleotide. For the telomeres, again, here's vitamin D3. So now here we got vitamin D3 here, vitamin D3 here, vitamin D3 here. The only thing we're missing is NAD. So now here are the senolytics. Now also, we don't have any senolytics in our program, but I'm going to add quercetin over here, which then also gives a sirtuin and also an AMPK activator. Now in our HPA axis, well, we have vitamin D3 here again, but there's some others, and other hormone supplements that we also use, but also things like lecithin or ginseng or ashwagandha are also in this category. So we want to try to get something, in every category. And so this is a basic summary for it. So it's more than just the things we've talked about. Intermittent fasting is really a key to this whole thing. It helps kill the senescent cells. Vitamin D really critical for all the mechanisms of longevity. Now I'm adding riboside, NAD, 100 milligrams daily as a new top nutrient. I'm making it my number 2 nutrient right now. I still recommend metformin, although there are some herbal things that you might consider, like berberine and quercetin, not as effective, but maybe some, and resveratrol, not as effective, but maybe some natural supplements that still might have some effects on the system. Omega-3s is still 2 grams a day, remain an essential nutrient. Now I'm adding quercetin, 1,000 milligrams daily. Now, this is more for people that are into the longevity aspect of it. If you're just coming into the program, you just want to feel a little bit better, you go ahead and take the NAD. But from here on out, these are more optional nutrients. These are people who are feeling good, and they're feeling so good that they want to live longer. And so these would include things like quercetin, 1,000 milligrams daily, resveratrol, 250 to 500 milligrams daily, curcumin comes from the spice cumin, 500 to 1,000 milligrams daily. Now, this is also a new one, DHEA, and I do recommend that this one be monitored because, the test can be expensive. So this is a very low starting dose. There's very large doses out there, like 100 milligrams, and the directions say to take 1 or 2 of these things. That's crazy, So you have to start out low. This is a powerful hormone, and ideally be monitored. Men will often need 50, but I still don't feel comfortable without monitoring a level on this one. So here's a new one, losartan. Losartan actually helps the preservation of the cell, and so it seems to the class, the ARP, seem to be the most longevity promoting of those. So even without like a high blood pressure reading, that could be considered. Now, another one is called sulforaphane. This is a new one. This one comes from broccoli and Brussels sprouts, kind of like DIM, but it's maybe the more active component of it than DIM and more active from a longevity standpoint. So, DIM is still good, but maybe this one is better. I would hate to eat Brussels sprouts, however. Now, another one, this is a new one also, the lecithin, that's in the hypothalamic pituitary axis, and ginseng also in the hypothalamic pituitary axis. These are more and more optional as they go down the road. These are more kind of general in order of importance. So, start out at the top, if you're a beginner and just, you don't have to go too far down it, but, if you're really interested in longevity, then, go for the gusto. It's not easy. It's going to take some work. So again, thank you very much. This is Dr. Raymond Adamcik from the Florida Anti-Aging Center in Satellite Beach, Florida, 321-480-4580. Email info@floridaantiagingcenter.com, and we'd be glad to hear from you as a hormone replacement therapy, as a metabolic treatment, a weight loss patient, or a full anti-aging longevity patient. Bye. Thanks. Merry Christmas.